Hello, I'm Nick. At 26 years old, I find myself living just outside the vibrant city of Denver, pouring my passion into my work as a freelance web developer. It feels rather uneventful. I've shared countless memories with Alex, my dearest friend, since our high school days. He means the world to me, just like a brother would. And his mom, Mrs. Garner, she was simply the heart of Alex's world. Forever gracious, forever serene. She would lovingly provide us with snacks after school, gently reminding us to be careful and not slam the doors. The kind of mother who leaves a lasting impression. A few weeks back, Alex reached out to me, sharing the exciting news that he was off to Hawaii for 10 days with his girlfriend. I thought to myself, wow, you're so fortunate, but just as I was about to hit send, he added, hey, my mom might need some help with things while I'm away. She's been rearranging everything in the house. If you're nearby, would you mind stopping by? Absolutely. It's nothing to worry about. A few days later, I reached out to her. Hello, Mrs. Garner. Alex shared that you could use a little help with something. I'm here for you. She responded with remarkable swiftness. Hello, Nick. If you have a moment, I would really appreciate your help with the hallway cabinet. It feels like an unbearable weight on my shoulders. Please share your thoughts with me. That was the moment. Direct and unambiguous. Absolutely her. As I arrived at her house on a Tuesday, just as the clock struck noon, a wave of anticipation washed over me. Being there without Alex felt so strange and empty. The same driveway, the same porch, yet an overwhelming silence lingers in the air. As she swung the door open, I must confess, I was completely taken aback. She appeared transformed. Not in an overly dramatic manner. Simply more cohesive. It feels a little more fragile than I recall. With my hair pulled back neatly, I slip into this cozy beige sweater and my favorite jeans, feeling a warm sense of comfort wrap around me. She appeared weary yet exuded a graceful elegance. Elegant, indeed. Hey there, Nick, she whispered softly. Her smile was gentle yet barely there. Please, step inside. We carefully relocated the old oak cabinet, a cherished piece, from the hallway to the guest room. It was just a brief 20 minutes, at most. In the end, I decided it was time to leave. As I reached for my keys, her voice broke through the moment, asking softly, would you like a coffee before you go? A wave of uncertainty washed over me. I never truly anticipated that I would remain here. Yet, there was an undeniable quality in her voice, gentle and perhaps tinged with a hint of hope, that compelled me to say yes. We gathered around the kitchen table. I had visited that place countless times, yet this moment felt entirely different. She brewed us a warm cup of coffee, and we shared our thoughts in a heartfelt conversation. It's deeper than mere small talk. She inquired about my job, whether I was still dating someone, and how I felt about the idea of living alone. For some reason, I found myself sharing more than I ever have before. And she truly did, without a doubt. At one moment, she gazed out the window, her voice barely a whisper, this house feels too big sometimes. It feels overwhelmingly silent. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. Words eluded me in that moment. I found myself asking, do you ever dream of moving away? With a heavy heart, she shook her head. Absolutely not. It's not just the house. It's truly me. I'm feeling lost and uncertain. I'm still coming to terms with the feeling of not being needed as much anymore. There was a depth in her voice that spoke volumes. It felt as though the words had been trapped within her for an eternity, yearning to be released. In that moment, she turned to me and her smile lit up the room. I truly appreciate your help today, Nick. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Honestly. That smile stayed with me, a warm echo in my heart. For the very first time in my life, she transformed in my eyes from merely being Alex's mom to someone so much more profound. I caught a glimpse of her. The following morning, just after 9:30, my phone vibrated softly, breaking the tranquil moment as I savored my coffee at my desk. My heart sank as I thought it might be a client, but when I glanced over, it was her. Mrs. Garner. Hi there, Nick. While cleaning the attic, I stumbled upon some old photo albums that brought back a flood of memories. I hoped they would bring a smile to your face. If you have some time later, I would love for you to come by. I found myself gazing at the message, lingering in that moment far longer than I ever intended. Confusion washed over me, leaving me uncertain about how to interpret it. It felt relaxed, yet there was something deeper beneath the surface. This isn't a message meant for just anyone. It was unlike her to reach out in such a way. Yet, yesterday held a different kind of magic. She had begun to share a piece of herself. And so had I, too. Perhaps that was all it ever was. After a moment of reflection, I found the words and responded. Absolutely. Just around 2, her response arrived in a heartbeat. Absolutely perfect. At 2 o'clock, I found myself pulling into the familiar driveway, a place where countless memories had unfolded before me. Yet, in that moment, I became acutely aware of the profound silence that enveloped the street. Absolutely not, Alex. Silence envelopes everything. It's just the two of us, together in this moment. As I approached, the door swung open, almost as if she had been waiting for me, her anticipation palpable in the air. She wore a stunning deep blue button-up blouse that seemed to capture the very essence of the sky, paired with light jeans that perfectly complemented her effortless grace. Just something simple. But she appeared, truly, breathtaking. It was an undeniable truth. Authentic. Find your peace. Please, come in, she said, her smile radiating warmth as she stepped aside. On the coffee table in the living room, 3 thick albums stood stacked with care, each one a treasure trove of memories waiting to be explored. I sank into the couch, watching her as she picked up the first one, her fingers trembling slightly as she opened it on her lap. She chuckled softly, a hint of mischief in her voice. Alex would be so embarrassed if he knew I shared these with you. With each gentle turn of the page, she immersed herself deeper into the story. Precious baby pictures, cherished school portraits, and delightful random snapshots. Some were downright whimsical. Some were so aged that they seemed to be losing their vibrancy, slowly fading away. I couldn't help but burst into laughter at the sight of Alex in those oversized glasses, or feel a pang of empathy watching him shed tears during a haircut. In that moment, we were both filled with laughter. Yet, amidst the laughter, she began to share the heartfelt stories woven into each photograph. She shared her journey of raising him all on her own. Reflecting on the sacrifices made. She held her silence, not a word of complaint escaping her lips. Lost in thought. Her voice carried a raw sincerity that resonated deeply. It felt as if she was unearthing fragments of her soul that she had long hidden away. I juggled 3 jobs the year he turned 9, she said, her voice trembling as she lingered on a photo of a birthday cake. The memory of baking that cake at midnight fills my heart with warmth. Though I was utterly drained, the last thing I wanted was for him to feel like I had forgotten. She smiled at the photo, yet her eyes seemed to drift into a distant memory. And then, there was nothing but silence. I swear, it wasn't me who broke it. A palpable change washed over the room, stirring the air with an unspoken tension. At last, she whispered, there are moments when I find myself pondering who I might have been if I hadn't poured every bit of my being into nurturing another soul. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a hint of concern, as if she feared she had revealed too much of her heart. It's not regret, she emphasized with urgency. My heart overflows with love for my son, he means the world to me. Yet, I never truly had the opportunity to embrace a life that was solely my own. With a gentle determination, she rose and made her way to the kitchen, her voice softly mentioning the comforting ritual of tea. I trailed behind her, my heart racing and my mind a whirlwind of uncertainty about what words could possibly bridge the distance between us. At the counter, she turned her back to me, the kettle's soft hum filling the silence between us. Then, without looking back, she whispered, I know it may seem selfish, but I long to feel something again. I long to laugh freely, unburdened by guilt. Let your spirit soar and dance freely, unbound by any reason. Simply embrace who I am. I stood there, filled with uncertainty. Not about her, but about me. At last, she faced him. Gazed into my eyes. Her voice had softened, barely a whisper now. You are the very first person I've ever shared this with. You're not family, yet you hold a special place that goes beyond mere acquaintance. You are a person who truly hears others. Someone who truly understands me. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight in my throat. This caught me completely off guard. Then she asked, her voice gentle yet unmistakable, would you spend an evening with me? This isn't a date. Please, I just want to feel like myself again. The choice came so easily, almost effortlessly. I simply nodded, feeling a wave of unspoken emotions wash over me. Yes, I did say that. Just let me know when the moment arrives. In that fleeting moment, she appeared more youthful than I had ever witnessed before. It felt as though a part of her soul had been resurrected. The next few days seemed to slip away in a whirlwind of emotions. The day at work was a whirlwind, yet my thoughts kept drifting back to Mrs. Garner's words, echoing in my mind. The echoes of her requests, inviting me to step out into the world with her, lingered in my mind, haunting me with their persistence. I repeatedly reassured myself that it was insignificant, merely her seeking solace in the company of a friend. After everything she had endured, raising Alex alone had been an incredible journey filled with challenges. A night out was exactly what she longed for, wasn't it? Yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply amiss. Throughout the years, I had shared countless moments at her house, yet it was always with Alex by my side. There existed an unspoken boundary, a poignant distance that lingered between us. In that moment, she was urging me to take that leap of faith. She reached out to me with a message the night before. Nick, would Friday work for you? Shall we gather for dinner at 7? I pored over the message repeatedly, each time hoping to uncover something more profound within its words. Friday felt like it was just around the corner. The conversation we shared still lingered in my mind, and I found myself struggling to fully grasp its weight. Yet, there was a spark of excitement in her eyes. She was anxiously awaiting my response, and I couldn't bear to leave her in uncertainty. That sounds wonderful. I typed back, my fingers trembling with anticipation. The following day, I stood at her door, my heart racing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. She unveiled it with that familiar, radiant smile that could light up the darkest of days. Yet this time, there was an unmistakable depth in the way she gazed at me. With a sense of eager anticipation, her voice danced in the air, filled with the promise of adventure. There was something uniquely captivating in the way she spoke. There was a delightful spark to it, a melody of joy I had never experienced from her before. She wore a modest black dress, her hair cascading in gentle waves, exuding an effortless elegance that captivated all who beheld her. She seemed like a stranger, a far cry from the woman I remembered as Alex's mom. She appeared as a stranger, a person I had never encountered before. We made our way to a quaint little restaurant, the kind that embraces you with its soft lighting and flickering candles adorning each table. It may not have been extravagant, but it radiated a warm, intimate atmosphere that made it feel special. As we settled into our seats, the words flowed effortlessly between us, as if they had been waiting for this moment all along. She was at ease, a stark contrast to the woman I once knew, perpetually consumed by the endless cycle of housework and errands. She was a breath of fresh air, a spark of something entirely new. How's everything going at work? As she took a delicate sip of her wine, her eyes met mine with a warmth that radiated genuine curiosity. Wonderful. Life is hectic, yet fulfilling. I urged, please, let's avoid sounding too awkward. We shared our thoughts on everything and yet, somehow, nothing at all. She inquired about my family, about my feelings on living independently, the typical questions that surface when someone is unsure of how to begin a conversation. It wasn't the questions that took me by surprise. It was in the depth of her gaze that I felt everything shift. It felt as though her words carried a deeper weight, as if she was reaching out for something more than mere small talk. It felt as though she truly yearned to understand me on a deeper level. As the night unfolded, a profound shift began to stir within me, and I found myself gazing at her through a new lens. I couldn't help but notice the warmth of her smile when laughter escaped her lips, the sparkle in her eyes as she reminisced about the cherished moments of raising Alex, and the brief pause she took, filled with vulnerability, before revealing something deeply personal. "You know, I rarely find myself in this position," she confessed, her voice softening with vulnerability. "I stay in. I never truly did. I was constantly occupied, devotedly caring for Alex, striving to ensure that everything was perfect. I found myself lost in the whirlwind of life, with no moments left for my own heart." Her words carried a weight, an indescribable burden that lingered in the air. It wasn't regret, it was a deep, aching longing that filled the heart. She found herself lost in memories of the life she had never truly embraced, a life she had sacrificed for the sake of others. "I understood," I replied, attempting to maintain a cheerful tone, yet the depth of her sincerity was impossible to overlook. As we concluded our dinner and stepped out of the restaurant, her gentle touch on my arm sent a warm thrill through me. It was far from casual. It held a profound significance. "I really needed this tonight, Nick," she whispered, her voice filled with longing. "I care more than I ever realized." Her eyes met mine, and in that fleeting moment, I felt an undeniable pull, more intense than ever. She stood before me, not merely as Alex's mom, but as her own vibrant self, radiating a presence that was unmistakably hers. A woman filled with her own hopes, dreams, and, it seems, lingering regrets. I found myself at a loss for words. How could I ever bring myself to do that? She offered me a delicate, almost bashful smile, and together we made our way to the car. As I drove her back to her house, the air felt charged with an unspoken tension. The air was thick, pulsing with an unexpressed tension that hung between us. A feeling I simply couldn't overlook. As we arrived at her house, I gently brought the car to a stop. She hesitated before stepping out. In that moment, she faced me, and for just a heartbeat, it seemed as if time itself had paused. "Thank you for tonight," she whispered gently. Her voice was soft and soothing, yet it carried an undercurrent of profound emotion. A moment of raw vulnerability. "You're welcome," I replied, feeling a wave of uncertainty wash over me, unsure of how to continue the conversation. In that fleeting moment, we sat together, our eyes locked in a silent exchange, feeling the weight of unspoken words between us. Neither of us could bring ourselves to take that first step away. I was filled with uncertainty, caught in a moment where I couldn't tell if she longed for my kiss or if I should hold back. Yet, the tension in the car was palpable. At last, her voice broke the silence. "I'll see you tomorrow, Nick," she said, her voice steady once more, as if she were slowly reclaiming her strength. With a gentle nod, I stepped out of the car and made my way around to her side, my heart racing as I reached for the door handle. As she stepped out, she offered me another gentle smile, and for just a fleeting moment, I could have sworn I saw something deeper in her eyes. A silence filled with unexpressed feelings. As I drove home that night, my mind was a whirlwind of a million thoughts, each one battling for attention. We were both changed, each in our own way. What could it possibly signify? What was unfolding? Though I was unaware, one truth shone brightly in my heart. This night had transformed everything, leaving me uncertain about the path that lay ahead. The days had slipped by since that unforgettable night out, and my mind was consumed by thoughts of it. Each time I laid eyes on her, a familiar whirlwind of confusion and yearning washed over me. What on earth was this? Was I lost in a dream that never truly existed? Or was there truly something deeper hidden beneath the surface? For so long, I had only viewed her through the lens of being Alex's mom. In that moment, she was truly extraordinary. Her gaze pierced through me, her words danced with a depth I had never encountered, revealing a hidden part of her that left me breathless. She was more than the mother I had cherished throughout my life. It felt as if she was unveiling a part of herself that had been locked away in the shadows for far too long. But what did that truly mean for me? I found myself lost, uncertain of what my heart truly desired. It had never crossed my mind to see her in this light before. And yet, here I stood, overwhelmed by a connection that felt so profound, yet utterly inexplicable. The message arrived in the afternoon, right when I was putting the final touches on a project. "Hey, Nick, I'm really feeling the urge to step outside and embrace the world tomorrow. How about we check out that exciting new bar downtown? It's going to be an incredible experience filled with joy and excitement." My heart raced as I paused, unsure of how to respond. A part of me yearned to say no, to retreat and shield myself from the fear of crossing any boundaries. But then I found myself reflecting on the last time we spent together. It felt completely natural. We truly cherished our time together. So, why not take that leap? Absolutely, that sounds wonderful. When will it be? What do you think about 7? It was an odd sensation, yet I couldn't shake the thrill of anticipation that coursed through me. I repeatedly reassured myself that it was just a simple night out between two souls who had shared so much over the years. As the clock inched toward 7, a wave of anxiety washed over me, deeper than anything I had ever felt before. As I knocked on the door, she opened it almost instantly, as if she had been waiting for that moment. This time, she donned a deep red dress that radiated youthfulness, making her appear even more vibrant than her years suggested. Her hair was beautifully styled, and a gentle yet assured smile graced her lips. "You look absolutely amazing," I found myself saying before I even registered the words leaving my lips. Her smile lit up the room, and in her eyes, there was that familiar sparkle once more, a whisper of something deeper beneath the surface. "Thank you," she whispered gently. "You're truly not as bad as you think." As we stepped out to the car, a quiet enveloped us, yet it felt strangely comforting. There was a surprising comfort between us now, a connection I never anticipated. The drive downtown carried a different weight this time. The air felt heavy, as if we were teetering on the brink of a moment that would change everything forever. As we stepped into the bar, its cozy size enveloped us, the warm glow of the low lighting and the gentle melodies creating an inviting atmosphere. As we settled into our seats at the bar, drinks in hand, an effortless connection sparked between us, and suddenly, the conversation poured out like a long-lost friendship rekindled after years apart. Her laughter danced in the air as she responded to my jokes, and in that moment, I couldn't help but be swept away by the joy of her humor. It felt like a beautiful dance, flowing with ease and grace. "Nick," she whispered, her voice softening as she took a delicate sip of her wine, savoring the moment. "Honestly, this isn't something I typically find myself doing. It feels like a distant memory, the last time I ventured out like this." "I understand," I said, "but it fills me with gratitude that you took that step." Her smile blossomed, tender and gentle, wrapping the moment in warmth. Her eyes sparkled with gratitude as she said, "I'm so glad you chose to be here with me." I was doing my best to maintain a cheerful atmosphere, yet an undeniable heaviness lingered around us. There was a silence between us, a heavy weight of unspoken words that we both danced around, each step filled with hesitation. Her gaze held a new depth, a profound change that stirred something within me. It had transformed into something deeper, something more profound than mere friendship. Have you ever felt that pang of longing, as if something precious slipped through your fingers? Out of the blue, she asked. My heart raced as uncertainty washed over me, leaving me at a loss for words. While I carried my own regrets, this moment transcended my feelings. It was all about her, and deep down, I felt it in every fiber of my being. "I just don't know," I murmured softly. It seems that at some point, we all experience those feelings. As if there was a different path they could have taken. She gazed into her drink, swirling it softly, lost in thought. In that moment, she lifted her gaze, and our eyes met, creating an unbreakable connection. "I always put everyone else first," she whispered softly. "Alex, my entire world, everything that matters to me." But now, her voice faded into silence. A hush fell over the room, and in that fleeting moment, I found myself questioning if this was the very place where everything would change. If she was about to share something deeper. Yet, she chose not to. Instead, she simply offered me that smile once more. The very same smile she had shared with me just a few nights ago. Yet this time uncertainty clouded my understanding of its meaning. "You're not alone in feeling like you've missed out on something precious," I whispered softly, striving to maintain my composure. She tilted her head, her gaze piercing through me with an intensity that made my heart race. She hesitated for what felt like an eternity before finally finding her voice. "I truly apologize if this feels uncomfortable." "Nick," she whispered, her gaze falling to the ground once more. "I'm feeling so lost right now. At times, the weight of solitude feels overwhelming in this journey. It's hard to believe I've ended up in this place, you know? I never imagined I would be here with someone like you, grappling with the uncertainty of discovering my true self." I was at a loss for words in that moment. Her voice carried a heaviness that pierced through me, a blend of raw emotion and vulnerability that I simply couldn't overlook. "I'm here to stay," I whispered gently. "I'm right here, present and ready. You are never truly alone." In that moment, as the words escaped my lips, a profound realization washed over me. I truly meant them. I existed in this moment. For reasons I can't quite explain, I found myself unwilling to let go of this. Yet, as the night unfolded, an undeniable sensation washed over me. The lines we had carefully drawn began to fade away. Perhaps I was stepping over a boundary that I couldn't quite grasp. In that fleeting moment, nothing else mattered to me. There was a deep connection between us. Despite my efforts to push it away, deep down I realized I could no longer pretend it didn't exist. I found myself in my car, parked outside her house, my hands tightly clutching the steering wheel, a whirlwind of emotion swirling within me. Days have slipped away since the moment everything between us transformed. Initially, I believed it was an error, an event that was never meant to unfold. But now, as I sat there, I felt a profound understanding that what we shared was truly unique. Words failed me. I found myself lost in uncertainty, grappling with the meaning that still eluded me. Yet, deep down, I felt the weight of the moment. We had both crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. And now, we found ourselves at a crossroads, faced with the weighty decision of what to do next. I reached out to her with a message. "Can we have a moment to connect?" She replied in an instant. "Absolutely, please come in." With a heavy heart, I inhaled deeply, opened the car door, and made my way to the front door. As I approached, she opened the door before I could even knock, her smile radiating warmth yet concealing a deeper emotion, one that resonated with the feelings swirling within me. "Hey," she said, her voice gentle, yet I could sense the underlying tension woven through her words. I stepped inside after her, the silence enveloping us like a heavy blanket, the gravity of all we had experienced together lingering in the atmosphere. Once we settled into our seats, she faced me, her gaze probing and intense, as if she were trying to decipher my thoughts just as I was attempting to unravel hers. Deep down, we both understood that we couldn't continue down this path. "Nick," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been reflecting deeply on everything, and I believe we both sense the direction this is taking us." She took a moment, her heart racing as she sought the perfect words to express her feelings. "I just can't bear this any longer. This isn't how it should be." In that moment, I felt an undeniable connection to her words. We could no longer endure this endless uncertainty. Our bond was unmistakable, yet it remained a secret that could never be revealed. It felt so unjust for both of us. We both had to release what was never destined to be anything beyond a cherished secret, a bond shared solely between us, untouched by the outside world. "I wholeheartedly agree," I whispered gently. "I've been feeling the exact same way. This, whatever it may be, can never be anything beyond this moment. We must keep this a secret. This must remain a secret at all costs." Her eyes glistened with warmth, and she nodded, a wave of relief washing over her. "I wish to keep this a secret from everyone. Not because I'm ashamed," she continued, her voice quivering with emotion, "but because I understand that what we share is deeply ours. This is something deeply personal. This is something we hold dear forever. This is a cherished secret, a bond that no one else can ever steal away from us." I sank into the chair, letting her words wash over me as I tried to make sense of them. She was absolutely right. This transcended guilt and fear. It was about realizing that what had transpired was a treasure, even if it had to remain concealed. It was far from a fairy tale. There would be no fairy tale ending, no sweeping romance. Yet, there exists a profound truth, a depth of feeling that remains beyond the grasp of others. I can't bear the thought of losing what we share, I murmured, my voice trembling with emotion. Yet, deep down, I understand that we must continue to embrace this existence, hidden away in the shadows. This secret must remain hidden from everyone else. Her fingers brushed against mine, a soft and tender connection that sent a warm shiver through me. Let's hold this close to our hearts, and I'll find peace in that. What we shared will forever be etched in my heart, a precious secret meant only for us to cherish. Her words wrapped around me like a warm embrace, bringing a soothing sense of peace. I felt that same emotion deep within me. I found it so hard to release this, to part with it completely. Yet, it became painfully evident that returning to the way things once were was no longer an option. This chapter has drawn to a close, yet it hasn't shattered me in its wake. We each had our own paths to follow, yet we had woven a bond that could never be unraveled. We rose to our feet, and she enveloped me in her embrace, her arms holding me tightly for a heartbeat longer than I had anticipated. It wasn't a scene from a love story, it was simply two souls who had woven a tapestry of shared moments, now standing at the crossroads, aware that the time had come to part ways. As I stepped out of her house that evening, a wave of finality washed over me, yet within it lingered an unexpected sense of peace. It wasn't the conclusion I had envisioned, yet somehow, it was one I could come to terms with. We chose to guard our secrets closely, shrouded from the eyes of the world, and in that shared silence, we found a comforting acceptance. That final look I shared with her before I slipped into my car spoke volumes. Words were unnecessary. We truly connected on a deeper level. What we had, what we shared, it was uniquely ours, and it will forever remain etched in our hearts. As I drove away, a sense of relief washed over me, my heart feeling a touch lighter, embracing the truth that this was the path I had to take. We had embraced our journey, and in a beautifully mysterious way, it felt undeniably right. Our secret would stay protected, and that was all that mattered. It feels like just yesterday that our journey began, but in reality, it's been 7 months since everything between us ignited. It has been 7 long months since that fateful day I stepped into her house, a moment that forever altered the course of my life. I find myself reflecting on that time constantly, more than I care to acknowledge. Yet, isn't it all woven into the fabric of our story now? We've journeyed far from where we once stood, but I suppose that's the way life unfolds. Nothing remains unchanged for eternity, particularly when shadows of secrets linger in the air. For the past few months, I've been deep in thought, contemplating everything that has unfolded. Initially, I found myself lost in uncertainty about the situation, but as I reflect on it now, clarity washes over me. The secret we held close, it was never destined to endure. Perhaps it was never meant to be. That's where I stand at this moment, and truthfully, I've come to terms with it. In those early months, it seemed as though we shared a bond so unique, so precious, that it was untouchable by the outside world. In the shadows, we found each other, cherishing fleeting moments that belonged only to us. There was an exhilarating rush in the hidden moments, in the hushed exchanges we cherished when the world faded away. Yet, little by little, everything started to shift. The thrill slowly diminished, and the burden of the secret grew increasingly oppressive. It had evolved beyond merely concealing the truth. The weight of it all was heavy on both our hearts. We began to drift apart in ways that left me feeling lost and bewildered. Our conversations dwindled, and when we finally spoke, it felt like a struggle. The bond we once cherished, so vibrant and unbreakable, now seemed to unravel, leaving us both lost and unsure of how to mend it. On a fateful night, everything reached its breaking point. The memory of that argument lingers in my mind as if it happened just yesterday. It was the sort of conversation that unexpectedly unraveled, taking everyone by surprise, as if no one had meant for it to go that way. We were both overwhelmed with frustration, yet we found ourselves at a loss for words to convey it. We were both exhausted from this charade, weary of concealing the truth that had long ceased to serve us both. "I don't know what you want from me anymore, Nick," she said, her voice trembling with frustration. "I'm at my breaking point. I can't continue like this any longer. I can no longer pretend that everything is all right." And I found myself speechless, unable to provide her with the answer she sought. I was just as lost, unsure of what I truly desired. In that moment, a profound truth washed over me. Perhaps what we shared was never destined to endure through time. We had experienced something genuine, something truly special, yet it wasn't the type of bond that could endure the heavy burden of our own hopes and dreams. "We can't continue down this path." I spoke, my voice trembling and barely above a whisper, yet it carried the weight of my heart. The words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning, sealing our fate in a moment from which there was no return. That night stretched on as we poured our hearts out, reflecting on all we had experienced together, the pieces we had lost along the way, and the dreams we dared to envision for our future. Ultimately, there's just one thing that lingers in my heart. Perhaps it's time to release what's been holding me back. And so we did. We came to the heartbreaking realization that we had arrived at the end of our journey together. It was finished, and deep down, we both felt the weight of that truth. As I reflect on the past, I find it difficult to determine whether I truly regret any of it. It was far from a flawless tale, and undoubtedly, it was the kind of relationship that many would struggle to comprehend. Yet it was undeniably real, and for a fleeting moment, it filled the void within. At this moment, I find myself free from any bitterness or anger. I find myself filled with gratitude for the moments we've shared, for the deep connection we experienced, no matter how brief it may have been. 5 long months have passed since we made that choice. It feels like an eternity since we last exchanged words on that fateful night. She often lingers in my thoughts, a bittersweet reminder of how things once were and the depth of the feelings we shared. Yet, I hold no regrets in my heart. We both emerged from it with something meaningful, even if it wasn't the conclusion we had envisioned. The uncertainty of the future weighs heavily on my heart, and the thought of never seeing her again fills me with a profound sadness. For now, I find a sense of peace in how everything concluded. We made our choices, and ultimately, we both found our own paths forward. And truly, I've come to terms with that.